It's not nerve-wracking at all, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that last year when I was deputising for the mayor, and I spoke to Edward, and he said, Parveiz, we're going to have an interview. And I said, okay, what's the questions? And thankfully he told me what they were, and I could rehearse a little bit, but then he twisted the questions as we went along. It didn't help. And I said to him this time, I said, look, it would be easier if I perhaps said a few words, if that's okay with you. I don't know how he took that, I'll have a word with him later on. Fancy saying that to somebody, the leader of the church, and then you walk away and you're thinking, just because you're wearing a chain, that you can get away with it. Good morning, everyone. And in the place of worship, in the eyes of God, we are all one. I'm not going to preach it. But the reason why I say that, and that's why my good morning, everyone, is I think is quite fitting in a place like this. When I first settled in Chesham over 40 years ago, little did I know that it would become a place where I would build a life, raise a family, make lifelong friendships, serve the community, and one day stand here before you as the Mayor of Chesham. It is a tremendous honour and a privilege to be here this morning for my civic service, and I would like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for attending and sharing this special occasion with me. And before I forget, and I will never forgive myself for this, I just want to say that thank you so much for St. Mary's Church, and you will hear all about St. Mary's later on. Thank you to the officers of Chesham Town Council, in particular Isabel, who's been running around making sure all the people are in place. And I won't name all the people who are involved, and thank you so much. And as I arrived, ladies and gentlemen, there were people leaving. And I thought, have I missed it? It was really quite funny, actually, because there were cars and people outside, and they said, no, Parveiz, that was the first service. This is your second service, this one's yours. So thank you so much. Last year, Edward, I asked you when we finished, is it always here, the civic service? And you said, yes. And I said, why? And I wasn't being rude, and I just wondered. And being a practicing Muslim, I asked and wondered whether my civic service could be in a mosque. And I went away and I thought, could I have it in a mosque? There's nothing saying that it ought to be in a church or this church, and quite rightly Edward said to me, no, Parveiz, you could have it anywhere you like. I went away and I thought about it. So although I'm a Muslim, ladies and gentlemen, it was very important to me to continue the long-standing tradition of holding the Mayor's service, civic service here at St. Mary's Church. Traditions like these matter because they bring communities together and remind us of shared values that unite us all together. And that was my decision. In the fact, and also if I wanted a service, a separate service, not a civic one, I think I've already had a mayoral service, but people know. This is my second part too, I thought I'd done all of that. If I wanted you to come to the mosque, I'd invite you. And I'm sure loads of you eventually have the opportunity to visit the mosque, or the synagogue, or the gurdwara, or wherever you wanted to go. In fact, when I first arrived in Chesham, and we're talking about St. Mary's, in the 1980s, I must admit I didn't even realise this beautiful church existed. It wasn't until I joined Chesham 1879, and some of my partners and colleagues are here as I see them, and I truly discovered St. Mary's, its beauty, its history, and its important place at the heart of the town. Every time I walked from the tennis club to my house, and I walked through the park, and I said, one of these days I'm going to go and visit this place. One of these days, at the night, during the evening, during the morning, sunsets, it was beautiful. And then, a few years ago, I made a walk over the way up here, and how beautiful it was. I would particularly like to thank Edward, the rector of St. Mary's, for the incredible work he does for Chesham and for the countless events and initiatives he supports throughout the year. Edward has always been someone who brings people together across all parts of the community. And I'm especially grateful for his support for my own events. Peace in the Park, for the people who know, celebrating International Peace Day, which has become such an important occasion for unity and friendship within our town. I'd just like to take this opportunity to say Peace in the Park is going to be on the 19th of September. And a community activity day, which is a health event, which will be on the 8th of August. We've just had the Fringe. We've got the car show coming. We've got the carnival, hats off, and that's just a few. Event a month, almost. The morning is also an opportunity for me to thank the many people who have supported it and encouraged me throughout my journey in Chesham, ladies and gentlemen. Friends, families, colleagues, community leaders, former mayors and residents from every part of our town. Your support and kindness over the years have meant more than you will ever know. And I can see the volume of people that have turned up today, and I'm very grateful. I would also like to make a special mention of someone who is here this morning, ladies and gentlemen, Patricia Sherrill. Patricia? You didn't know this was coming, Patricia, did you? Who served as Mayor of Chesham in 2002 and 2003. Patricia has been a loyal supporter of civic events in Chesham for many years, and I understand that this will be your final service at St. Mary's before you move away to be closer to your family. A lovely moment later. Patricia, thank you for your years of service, your friendship and dedication to our community. You will always be warmly remembered in Chesham, and we wish you every happiness for the future. And just a token of thanks from